WISN 12 News starts now with breaking news.
Horrific images from Barcelona. 13 are dead. As many as 100 people are left injured after a van plowed into a crowd.
But somebody was screaming, and then everybody started to run.
How ISIS is now taking responsibility.
Cell phone video of Milwaukee police taking down a suspect. Witnesses tell 12 News how a citywide chase ended just feet from where they were standing.
He was a lone wolf. He was an anomaly.
And how the FBI is tracking white supremacists here in Wisconsin. Cell phone video of a suspect taken down in front of onlookers after a citywide police chase in a stolen car. At least 4 people were in that car this morning when it was finally pinned in by police and crashed into a squad car.
12 News' Nick Bohr is live at 36th and Center where the chase ended. And Nick, no officers were hurt?
Right, Joyce. No officers hurt. In fact, the chase ended right here. The car coming up the street here and smashing into a squad going the wrong way on a one-way street, mind you. But the men inside bailed out right here and ran off into the area. They weren't quite ready to surrender.
He was walking, and somebody said, "There you go," and then all of them jumped on him, handcuffed him.
Corrine Ford saw the chase end, and one of the men inside almost get away, but he's tackled to the ground by police and handcuffed. You say you saw him walking. Was he trying to like blend in or something?
Yes, he was trying to blend in until somebody screamed like, "There you go," and then he tried to run, and then all the officers attacked him.
Ford says the citywide chase ended suddenly as the car struck a squad that had cut it off.
And what I heard was a lot of sirens, and I jumped up and I came out, and it was like police cars going everywhere, and they crashed right here.
Milwaukee police tell us that chase started way over here in the 3rd Ward. An officer spotted that stolen car that was also tied to a report of shots fired. One young man told me he saw the chase on the northwest side.
Over there on 67th and Keith, you know, it was like 5 police, like 5 cops chasing them at first, and then, you know, he took them around a couple blocks, you know what I'm saying, to try to get him off of them.
He says he lost sight of that chase, but later came upon the crash more than 2 miles away. In the end, police say there were 4 people arrested from that car reported stolen last week. And this chase touching 6 out of the 7 police districts in the city, so certainly not exaggeration to say it was citywide. There's still glass on the street here where that ended today. Police still investigating how the people in that car might be tied to that earlier report of shots fired where that car was spotted. Reporting live at 36th and Center, Nick Bohr, WISN 12 News.
Thank you, Nick. And it did cover a lot of territory. Here is a look at the scope of the chase. It started in the 3rd Ward near Erie and Water before traveling to the northwest side at 67th and Keefe, and then back south before ending in that crash at 36th and Center.
13 people are dead and upwards of 100 people are injured in a terror attack in Spain. Now, we must warn you, some of the images we're about to show you are very graphic. A van plowed into a crowd of people in Barcelona. This is Instagram video from the aftermath. That popular tourist area has now been sealed off. ISIS is claiming responsibility tonight for that attack. Here is ABC's Elizabeth Herr.
Terror in Spain, sending police and paramedics rushing to a major tourist attraction in Barcelona. Stunned eyewitnesses running for cover, confused and terrified.
But somebody was screaming, and then everybody started to run because they're screaming from behind, and everybody just ran forward. And then I'm pretty sure there's a lot of old people. They must have trampled them as they went past.
Must have been doing 80 to 100 kilometers an hour. He was traveling at high speed, just sort of knocking. There were people being flung into the air.
It happened in the Las Ramblas district on a wide boulevard restricted to pedestrian traffic only, no cars, but around 5 p.m. local time. Authorities say a driver rammed a van into the crowd, running people over before apparently fleeing into a nearby restaurant, with police swarming the area and warning tourists and locals to shelter in place or stay away altogether.
I'd like to start by acknowledging the incident in Barcelona, which has the hallmarks, it appears, of yet another terrorist attack.
U.S. officials monitoring the situation say teams are in place ready to assist Americans in Spain. And President Trump tweeted the U.S. will do whatever is necessary to help. Be tough and strong. We love you. As for the investigation, the man who rented the van used in this attack has now been identified as Driss Ukabir. But at this time, investigators in Spain are not saying if that is the same man under arrest. Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, New York.
Spanish police are confirming that 2 men are in custody, but not the driver of the van at this point. 12 News reached out to both Marquette and UWM about students studying abroad in Barcelona. Each school says they do not have any students there. ABC News is, of course, closely following the events in Barcelona. Look for updated information at 5:30 on World News tonight.
Communities in at least 3 states have removed Confederate monuments after this weekend's deadly attack in Charlottesville, Virginia. Well, now President Trump is weighing in. As reporter Aixa Diaz shows us, the president says removing the statues is foolish.
As Confederate monuments across the country get taken down, covered up, and vandalized, President Trump reacts on Twitter. The president says the beauty that is being taken out of our cities, towns, and parks will be greatly missed and never able to be comparably replaced.
George Washington and Jefferson, as the president pointed out, were slave owners. But there's a difference between that and somebody who's famous because he rebelled against the United States.
President Trump is also tweeting about 2 Republican senators who have been critical of his response to Charlottesville. He calls Jeff Flake toxic and Lindsey Graham publicity-seeking. Graham responded, tweeting, "Mr. President, like most, I seek to move our nation, my state, and our party forward toward the light, not back to the darkness."
I think that Trump is sort of taking a stand on, a culture war issue in probably more explicit terms than some of his predecessors have done. But that's sort of how he got elected, and he's sort of sticking with that message.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi is asking Speaker Paul Ryan to join Democrats in calling for the removal of Confederate statues from the U.S. Capitol. A spokesman for the speaker says each state chooses 2 statues to be displayed, and it's up to them to decide whether they should be moved. A recent survey found most Americans view Confederate monuments as symbols of Southern pride, not racism. Answers were largely divided by race and party affiliation. In Washington, Aixa Diaz, WISN 12 News.
We pray for calm, hope, and the end of fear.
A unity prayer opened the Wisconsin State Assembly's special session today. It was led by an interfaith group of religious leaders, including from Milwaukee's Muslim, Jewish, and Sikh communities, and from the Milwaukee Archdiocese. The Assembly followed the prayer by adopting a resolution condemning the violence in Charlottesville.
Tensions following Charlottesville raised the question, who is monitoring hate groups here? Only on 12, the FBI sits down with Colleen Henry to talk about how it tracks extremists and the potential threat of violence.
Milwaukee's FBI office has dissected the violence of hate before. 5 years ago, white supremacist Wade Michael Page killed 6 at the Sikh temple in Oak Creek.
He was a lone wolf. He was an anomaly.
The FBI tracked Page's white power ties. He played guitar in skinhead bands like Definite Hate. But Agent Danny Day says when he attacked the Sikh temple, Page had lost contact with his white power counterparts.
They kicked him out because years ago one of his girlfriends was not white.
Day says Page also struggled with family, job, and money. Was he targeting Sikhs?
He knows the difference between a Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, and all that. I think that happened to be the group that happened to be there, close enough to him when his powder keg finally blew.
The Southern Poverty Law Center identifies 9 hate groups in Wisconsin, but Agent Day says the FBI can only get involved if they plot violence or government overthrow.
Abortion extremists, anarchists, animal rights, black separatists, militias, sovereigns, white supremacy, and it goes on and on.
While much tracking is done online, Day says its sources and the public are critical. He says a citizen tip foiled a mass shooting last year here at Milwaukee's Scottish Rite Masonic Center. Suspect Sami Hamza was never on their radar.
There was no reason for him to be on our radar, and we absolutely have to depend on the public, because if somebody didn't come forward, we would have never known about it.
Now, Hamza denies those charges, Troya. He is headed to trial.
And Colleen, the FBI wants people to call if they hear about extremist plots of violence.
Yeah,
correct?
the FBI says without its sources, and that includes the public, some of these dangerous groups can slip through the cracks. In the newsroom, Colleen Henry, WISN 12 News.
Thank you, Colleen.
Milwaukee police are looking for a gunman after an apparent case of road rage. Police say people in 2 vehicles got into some kind of traffic incident near 14th and Greenfield overnight. Someone in one car then fired shots into the other, wounding the 2 men inside. The victims drove themselves to a hospital. The woman accused of setting off a panic at the Wisconsin State Fair on Sunday is under arrest. Police say the 19-year-old had been fired from the Cream Puff Bakery and got into a scuffle with police when they tried to get her to leave. Someone pulled a fire alarm. Others thought she had a gun in her hand as she fled the scene, but it turned out to be her cell phone.
The biggest business deal in Wisconsin history is just hours away from a vote. The state assembly is considering the $3 billion taxpayer-funded incentive package to bring tech giant Foxconn to Wisconsin. 12 News' Kent Wayne Scott is at the state capitol, where there has been some fiery debate. Kent?
Yeah, it has been going on all day. We're at the nearly 6-hour mark, and that debate's still going on in the Assembly chamber behind me here. Democrats have had some especially strong words today for this Foxconn incentive package that they say is a bad deal for taxpayers and one that's being rushed through, while Republicans say the potential for 13,000 jobs will transform the state's economy.
This is bold. It's something that we haven't done before in Wisconsin. We have not shot for the stars like we are today. The Assembly is now in session.
Speaker Robin Vos told Assembly members they would remember this day and this vote forever as the one that transformed Wisconsin's economy. But some Democrats called the deal a boondoggle for taxpayers and pushed for amendments to ensure things like jobs going to Wisconsin workers.
I would love somebody on your side of the aisle to tell me why we should use 1 penny of that $3 billion to subsidize somebody from Illinois.
Analysts say it would take 25 years for state taxpayers to recoup their investment on the state's $3 billion incentive deal. Foxconn says it plans to invest $10 billion and bring 3,000 jobs to Wisconsin initially and up to 13,000 within 6 years. Democrats say the bill is being rushed through, but failed in an attempt to take more time and send it back to the Finance Committee.
Go ahead with this plan that was announced 3 weeks ago that we don't have any of the financials for. Usually if you rush things, FYI, it means it's because the deal stinks.
Vos accused the Democrats of political grandstanding.
Or are you worried more about the rhetoric of finding any reason you can to be a naysayer on the largest economic development project in our state's history?
And despite all of the opposition from Democrats here today, this measure is expected to pass. Speaker Vos telling me he believes there may only be one Republican who votes against it, while a number of Democrats are likely to support it. The vote is expected here in about 2 hours. If it passes, it then moves on to the state Senate. At the state capitol, I'm Kent Wayne Scott, WISN 12 News.
Thank you, Kent.
Spotty showers dotting the skies right now, but you don't need to change your outdoor plans.
Chief Meteorologist Mark Baden is here tracking the forecast.
Yeah, you can see it right behind me right now. The showers are very hit and miss when that moves out, leading away to an amazing forecast. Next in Weather Watch 12.
I'm Tim Elliott at Cathedral Square Park. Plenty of people already staking their claim for tonight's Jazz in the Park. Should be a great night for some great music. I'll have a preview for you coming up.
This is the first total eclipse I've had the chance to go to in the U.S. since I've been alive.
The excitement over darkness continues. The local scientists road tripping to take part in the historic moment and what we can expect to see when the sun disappears.
Tonight.